Lion Whisperer, mauled during feeding. World famous lion whisperer Oleg Zubkov, mauled and dragged by lion, he sparred after fatal incident. The world famous lion whisperer and founder of Taigan Safari Park in Russian-occupied Crimea is currently fighting for his life after a savage mauling by a lion he once spared. The 57-year-old animal expert suffered severe head, neck and lung injuries in the brutal attack, which has left him in critical condition at a local hospital. Let's get into the thick of it on this AI podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something, well, pretty intense. Imagine this. A guy known as the Lion Whisperer, famous, walks among lions like it's nothing. Then, suddenly, he's fighting for his life inside his own park.
Yeah, it's a stark image.
We're talking about Oleg Zubkov. He's 57, runs the Taigan Safari Park in Russian-occupied Crimea. Big name, known globally for this unique bond he supposedly has.
Supposedly being the key word sometimes.
Right. So our mission today, unpack this shocking attack. He was mauled savagely. And there's a backstory here involving the same lion. It's complicated.
Definitely.
We'll get into the risks he took, a tragedy that happened before, and his whole philosophy, which seems pretty controversial, especially now.
And that's really what makes this worth diving into, isn't it? It's not just, a dramatic incident. It taps into something bigger about us humans and these incredibly powerful predators, apex predators, and what happens when we sort of forget the boundary.
Or ignore them.
Exactly. And the sources we have are pretty compelling. We've got eyewitness accounts, chilling stuff, park statements, plus Zubkov's own history, his past decisions. It gives us a really full picture to explore for you.
Okay, so let's paint the scene of the attack itself. It sounds horrific. Zubkov was feeding the lions inside their enclosure, which he apparently did often. And then, boom, one just lunged. No warning, seems like.
Yeah.
Witnesses describe just sheer terror. One quote stuck with me. The lion bit his neck, dragged him like a toy under a viewing platform. The witness actually said there was terrible panic. The lion dragged the man by the neck like a toy. Just brutal.
Absolutely brutal. And it tells you right away this wasn't some kind of playful interaction gone wrong. This was predatory, a life or death attack.
Yeah.
It really drives home the point, doesn't it? No matter how close someone thinks they are to a wild animal, especially an apex predator.
The wild is still there.
It's always there. That instinct is powerful. You can't just, whisper it away. His bond, whatever it wasn't enough in that moment.
But then, amidst the chaos, you had some real heroism.
Incredible bravery, it sounds like.
Yeah, a female employee, Tatiana Alexeyevna, 58 years old. She didn't freeze. She actually drove a buggy right near the lion.
Risky move.
Totally. And threw a bucket at it just to distract it. And it worked, apparently. The lion let go of Zubkov.
Wow, quick thinking.
But he wasn't safe yet. There was a visitor, this guy named Alexei. He saw what was happening from up on the platform.
Okay.
And he climbed down a pipe into the enclosure.
Seriously, into the enclosure with the lions.
Yeah. Climbed down to help drag Zubkov, who was bleeding heavily, obviously, to the buggy. Then they got him out. There's footage, pretty gruesome, showing him being loaded into his Mercedes to get to the hospital.
Just incredible actions by those two people. And the injuries were, well, extremely serious, as you'd expect. Severe head, neck, lung injuries. He needed emergency surgery right away.
And his condition now.
Last we heard, still unconscious, in intensive care. A park source said something like, a complex operation has been performed. Doctors are doing everything possible and impossible to save him.
So touch and go.
Very much so. It highlights how critical that intervention was. Those few seconds, the actions of the employee and the visitor, that likely saved his life.
Okay, so this is where it gets even more disturbing, right? This wasn't just any lion.
Apparently not.
The reports suggest, and this is pretty central to our deep dive, that the lion that attacked him, it's believed to be one of the same lions involved in a death just last year, October 2024.
Leocadia Paravolova, yes. A 41-year-old big cat expert herself, a close colleague of Zubkov's, actually.
Killed and partially eaten by lions in the park. The story was she forgot to shut a safety gate or something like that.
A terrible, terrible incident. And this is where Zubkov's controversial decision comes right into focus.
Yeah, they didn't put the lions down after that.
He refused, flat out refused. Even though his own colleague was killed, even acknowledging, and he said this himself, that the lions had tasted human meat.
What was his reasoning, I mean?
He said, and this is a quote, "Lions are apex predators. They do not forgive mistakes. But it horrified me that they not only killed her, they also began gnawing on her legs. If lions have tasted human meat, they become cannibals.
So he acknowledged the danger, the fact they've become cannibals in his view, but still kept them.
Exactly. He acknowledged the extreme risk, the transformation, but chose to spare them. It raises massive questions, doesn't it, about where you draw the line between understanding an animal's nature and managing, well, lethal risk, especially risk to human life.
It almost sounds like he felt he was above the risk, or that his connection was special enough to override that danger.
That could be one interpretation. A belief in his own unique abilities, perhaps, overriding even the most primal warnings. It's a decision that looks incredibly difficult to justify in hindsight.
And Zubkov himself, he's built this whole persona around that connection, hasn't he? This animal genius idea.
Oh, absolutely. Mysterious powers, some said. That was the brand.
People came from all over the world, didn't they? Tourists, celebrities.
Yeah, media, too. To see him walk among these untethered lions, he even let tourists interact sometimes, which is wow.
I remember seeing pictures. Wasn't there like a Russian Olympic skater sitting on a lion?
That's right. Tatiana Navka, who's married to Dmitry Peskov, Putin's spokesperson, she was photographed sitting on a lion during one of Zubkov's guided walks. It fed the image, the image of control.
But critics were warning about this stuff all along, presumably.
Constantly, for years, experts warning about the inherent dangers of that kind of close contact with apex predators. It's just not safe, full stop.
And it wasn't just warnings. There were other incidents at the park, too, right?
There were. Back in 2021, a tiger bit off a toddler's thumb. Apparently, the mother held the child too close to the enclosure. So, you see this pattern, don't you? Warnings, incidents. Yet, the high-risk practices, the spectacle, it continued.
It really puts the tension into sharp focus. The public fascination versus, well, safety and maybe even animal welfare.
Exactly. That's the core tension here.
So where does this leave us now? We've got Zubkov fighting for his life, critically injured by a lion he arguably should have dealt with after he killed his colleague. A direct consequence, you could say.
It seems hard to argue otherwise.
His condition is critical. We don't know what will happen to the lion this time. And everyone at the park, his family, they're just hoping for the best. The spokesperson called it a shock, like a bolt from the blue. Said everyone's praying for him.
A terrible situation for everyone involved, no doubt. But this whole story, it really forces you, the listener, to think, doesn't it? About that very fine line. Respecting nature versus trying to, dominate it, tame the untamable.
Yeah.
What happens when someone who claims to understand animals best, a whisperer, seems to ignore the loudest, clearest warning signs from those very animals?
And what about us, the audience? Do we play a role by being fascinated by this spectacle, demanding it almost?
It's a provocative thought to leave you with. At what point does this desire we have for connection, for seeing the wild up close, cross over into something dangerous, maybe even a delusion? Where's that line?
What ethical responsibilities do wildlife park owners have when animals attack humans? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.